April 10th. Have with me Councilwoman Rodriguez. Mr. Blumenfeld is on his way. So let's go ahead and begin quickly. I think on item number 3, we have a request that they go on consent. If you have no problem with that, would be on consent. Okay. Item 3 is consent. Let's start with number 1.
Item, Mr. Chair.
Just in time.
Item number 1 is a city attorney report and ordinance relative to the development and operation of the Los Angeles Street Civic Building, LASCB, located at 150 North Los Angeles Street. And there's a Municipal Facilities Committee report relative to fiscal year 2018-19 budget revisions, use and issuance of MICLA funds for the demolition and pre-design component of the LASCB project. This matter has also been referred to Public Works and Gang Reduction and Budget and Finance committees.
Thank you very much. And for the record, we've been joined by Mr. Blumenfeld.
Good afternoon. Mandana Khatib Shahidi with the CAO's office. The report before you is a Municipal Facilities Committee transmittal. At its March 28th meeting, the MFC considered and approved a Bureau of Engineering report requesting to revise the FY 2018-19 budget for the demolition and pre-design component of the LASCB project from $21 million to $23,554,567. This request is essentially a request to use and reissue $2,554,567 for the current fiscal year, so that they can close out demolition and pre-design activities to keep pace with the incoming flux of invoices and the increase in speed of activities. This does not in any way affect the total project budget, which was approved by Council in July 2018. That budget total is 32.3 and remains the same. And we're available for any questions.
So that the Budget Finance Committee's already approved that, and it's just a timing of money.
The Municipal Facilities Committee has approved the item. It's pending before Budget and Finance.
Okay. Right. Any questions?
So, I mean, this is just because we're actually ahead of schedule on demolition. Is that right?
That's correct. Demolition is moving faster than anticipated, so the invoices are coming in a little bit faster.
Which is pretty amazing. Have we ever been ahead of schedule on a demolition report?
Not to my recent recollection.
I think this is a historic moment that we ought to celebrate. So,
Mr. Rodriguez, okay, seeing no further questions, then we'll move this.
I'm sorry, there is one correction. Oh, yeah. So also pending before the committee is a city attorney report and ordinance, and that has been requested to be continued until it's ready to be heard in committee.
So we'll take 2 actions. One is to continue the city attorney report and approve then the $2.6 million from the MFC. Right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Blumenfeld, we already consented item number 3. So you have no problem with that. And that takes us to item number 2.
Yes, Chair. Item number 2.
Yes.
To add beyond to item 3.
On item 3, he'll approve consent.
Oh, for consent, yes. Item number 2 is a CAO report relative to the 5th Restated Professional Services Agreement, Amendment Number 19, between Hess and Associates, Inc. and the City to continue support of the City's payroll system. This matter has also been referred to Budget and Finance Committee.
Good afternoon. I'm Trina Unziker. I work with the Office of the CAO. We are upholding the Department ITA's recommendation to continue this contract, obviously with a total of 19 changes. It's a long contract. However, we do feel, as ITA does, that it's important to have some support for the PACER system as we travel along the road toward the HRP, which is going to be the city's new payroll and human resources project. So we do support ITA's recommendation to continue. Just to hit a few highlights regarding what would be anticipated as part of the scope of work in this contract, this would include PACER production program fixes and modifications that are going to continue to be necessary until we get a new program in place, on-call support for production problems, training for the Controller's Office and ITA staff, along with code delivery system and technical documentation, technical assistance to the city during the HRP implementation, so this isn't just to keep PACER in place. It's also going to be to try to help us transition into our new payroll system, consulting services relative to the functional and business documents required to configure our new system, data cleansing for all of that data that's coming over into the new system, and then support during the testing phase as we implement the new payroll system. I'd be happy to answer any questions about this contract, and we also have a representative from ITA who can answer questions as well.
Okay. I have one question. I'm looking at the expenditure side of the contract, and it's moving it from $15,000 a month to $135 an hour. On a long-term basis of a year, what are we talking about in difference? Because those are apples and oranges.
Hi, good afternoon. Laura Ito with Information Technology Agency. We moved to an hourly rate because the vendor has retired and really is only providing support as needed. So it certainly doesn't make sense to have this more retainer-based pay. It made sense to go to hourly. So the contract, we would imagine, and our funding is maxed out at $425,000 a year. So we would keep it within that amount, and we expect that it could be less. It'll just really depend on the kind of circumstances that arise, especially as it's just for the production support.
Okay, so the total budget remains constant.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, the HRP program, when is that actually going to be up and running?
Well, it certainly will depend on which vendor we select. We are very near the evaluation committee's recommendation. We had released the RFP back in July of 2018 and went through an extensive review process, 3 tiers of review, including the last tier, which was presentations by the top vendors, where they were asked to provide video demonstrations or actually live demonstrations of how they were able to configure their product to match certain more complicated scenarios that the city anticipates needing to put the product through, providing that kind of functionality that we typically would require of our payroll system. So it's right now the evaluation team is just coming up with some final questions for those proposers, and we expect to have their decisions soon, and then we would enter negotiations with the top proposer.
Is the intention to do like a hard switch in exactly 18 months, or is the idea to get them up and running very soon and then have a period of redundancy for a certain amount of time?
Well, it would be a period of redundancy, but I mean, we would have one cutover date, but we would likely maintain the other system for a bit.
That's wise given some of the other rollouts that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Okay, Ms. Rodriguez? Okay, seeing no other questions, we can move this forward with approval of the committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That concludes today's agenda. Appreciate the speed of which we did that. Thank you.